Okay, so I'm making this video not to try to like one up anybody, but I think we need to actually have a bit of an understanding how Fortitude works. I don't think people quite understand that you can play Fortitude in more than one way. I'm playing it as a main Fortitude who's looking to take the least amount of damage as possible, hold aggro. I'm trying to maximize on my damage while making things less stressful for my attackers and my benedictions slash my healers, right? So I was told that it's bad to use Saki's weapon. All right, and Lan's weapon is better. Now I'm not one to say Lan's weapon is bad, but the point of Lan's weapon, in my opinion, yes, we can talk about the A1 to try to get some more damage. That's fine. I actually like the passive that you can get from Lan's weapon, especially at, A3, that you'll just have these you see we got like parasols there, right? At A3, you can get like 3 of them done at once. Cool. Not even mad at that. Right? A5, you can use Fiery Crash, transfer damage ignored, percentage of enemies like, resistance to flame. So even though they resist flame, you can still do flame damage. That's great. I don't want to, take away from that. Now, the reason why I've been using Saki's weapon, and sometimes I'm not using Lan's weapon while using Saki's weapon, is first off, somebody else wants the whole aggro, right? For like the right now there's a raid that you don't want to hold aggro. So I don't use Lan's weapon. Heck, I don't even use Mimi's weapon, right? I'm just using Saki's weapon and Mero's weapon or Ine's weapon just to proc Saki's A1. So you can shatter all the easier. Right. Now, let's talk about why would I not want to use, Lan's weapon, and maybe I want to use, I don't know, Tsubasa or any other frost weapon, right? If you have someone that's doing frost damage, as you also can see, I'm using a 4-piece Saki, right? Let's read this. When frost resonance gets triggered, every 3 seconds deal frost damage equal to 80% of frost attack to enemies within a 10-meter radius and apply the ice frost effect, okay? Inflict slow effect that lasts for 3.5 seconds, freeze targets for 3 seconds. Out of 3 stacks, it increases frost damage taken by the target by 5% for 18 seconds. Okay, what that's basically saying is I do frost damage every couple seconds, I slow enemies, and then we increase frost damage being taken. So if you have anybody that does frost damage, they get to do more damage. This is a huge reason to use this. Now, if you're not thinking that way, you only think about your damage, you're thinking about playing Fortitude wrong. I would say play balance. If you do get aggro, so you don't take much damage, or just play an attack. Now, if you mainly play attack and you're trying to play Fortitude, that can explain why we're doing things differently, because I'm not built like an attack, right? Okay. Now we also got the 4-piece. Attack the target 10 times to inflict a 12-second flash freeze mark. Now again, it's not saying attack with a frost weapon, you just attack 10 times. Well, how fast Mimi's landing hits? Well, it's easier to practice 4-piece while being with this frost resonance. It's huge. Especially on people that does frost damage. That's great. So now you can inflict this all the time just about. So again, increase frost damage dealt to marked targets by 13% right now for me. Okay, so anybody around me is doing frost damage, boom, big damage. Big damage. Do not ignore your matrices. Now, there might be some Fortitudes who are gonna say, oh, I didn't get that. Well, okay, well, this is something that could be good. Now, if you didn't want to get it, maybe that's why you're not doing what I'm doing. And that's fine. Everyone does things differently. But to say Saki's weapon isn't good is crazy, right? So now let's look at the A1, right? A1 going to stack a sharp arrow. Oh, that's not it. Sorry about that. Right? Frost resonance activated. Weapon skill cooldowns are cleared every 5 times when weapon skills are used. And so we're gonna say, oh, it doesn't work for this. Yeah. I don't get what you're trying to get at. It just doesn't work for this one weapon. It'll work on Saki's weapon. It works here, right? Let's say I didn't have Tsubasa. I like Tsubasa's weapon because it's every 12 seconds. You might say, oh, you can use Ine. Honestly, I don't think Ine is a bad idea now because I have a ranged weapon. That might actually be a good idea. Or if any enemy doing Great Bite, you know, I have a way to stay away from the enemy. Again, play style is up to you. As long as you're getting it done, you're getting it done. Right? Okay, the damage of flow and counterattack is increased by 1 time for the next 25 seconds. That's great. So your counterattack, flow, that's basically your skill. Basically what it is. Your skill does more, it does more damage. Increased by 1 time. Okay, cool, right? Besides the flow, you do more damage. That's not really as important. It's nice to have. It's easy to take aggro if you lose it, but you can just hold the Mimi button, so that's not really relevant, in my opinion. That's why I don't really care about Lan's passive that you can just gain aggro from using a skill. You're gonna hold aggro anyway. If you're losing it, that just means someone else is playing Fortitude, or you're just not doing enough. But that's fine, right? The A5 and A6 is nice. More than A5. Freeze time and trigger Fantasia upon surge hitting the target. Trigger cooldown with the Fantasia triggered by dodging. Cool, right? So every time the Fantasia is off, you can just go right into Saki's discharge or Saki's hold attack, and you trigger a Fantasia. You can slow enemies down and give everyone a discharge. Cool, right? Here we go. This is the big one. Upon hitting the target with surge, increase frost damage by 11% for 15 seconds. Upon triggering block with sword shadow, reduce the frost damage dealt by nearby enemy targets by 25% for 12 seconds. If you're fighting a frost enemy point blank, you can keep using this trait so you don't have to take the most damage. That's huge. You may say, oh, but you already got 2 frost weapons, you don't need to use it. That's true. My frost resist jumped up to 21k. So you have a fair point. But if we're not using 2 frost weapons, it's still great to have. I'm not going to take damage as often. Yes, it only works with frost, but it still can get someone else a discharge. Right? But if you see my stats, like I don't have to worry about mainly going into flame damage or mainly going into this damage. Yes, my frost attack is the highest right now because I have 2 frost weapons on. If I put 2 flame weapons on, then that'll be the best, right? Like, so let's look here, right? I'm gonna just put on 0Q because, you know, it helps, right? Now, my flame damage is the highest, it's 23k, right? If I was to put on a Volt weapon, you know, I'll just use Nem right here. Right? Now my Volt is gonna be the highest. Granted, yes, I didn't put on matrices. If I placed on matrices, the Volt attack would get higher. But I'm just, you know, trying to openly show that shouldn't be really what's important. It's all about your Volt. It's not your Volt. It's all about your resistances. But honestly, you know, if you have you have your tactical eyepiece, you want something that has altered resist. I mean, I want something better. It rolled everything here one time except for resistance. Maybe I want resistance like that. I don't know. But I would like to see like an altered resist percent, HP percent, maybe crit chance. I don't know. I really want to roll mainly the altered resist or health, rather altered resist, because there's no way to really get that stat. So if I ever need to, you know, to fight against altered enemies and be able to be, you know, able to take damage, I can place this on, no problem. Right? So again, in my opinion, I think right now you should always be having on Mimi's weapon because it's just way too easy to draw aggro. Yes, I know I have the 4-piece on right now, but when I do harder content and I feel like I can't live, I put a Marrow 2-piece down here and I put the Scylla 2-piece up here just so I can still do some extra damage, extra crit, extra shatter, you know? That's all I'm looking for. Now, you want to place your matrices however you want, place them however you want. You know, I have Mimi's matrices. I really like Mimi's matrices because it allows me to do overall more damage. You know, someone say, I thought damage isn't important. But it also gives me, you know, survivability. Now, it doesn't openly show that, right? Like if I look here, increase final damage by a percentage, shockwave lands on the hit, increase skill damage by 15%, 30 seconds. Right. But that's easier for me to hold aggro. But it's just matrices, you know? Works in the offhand slot, fine. Put with at least 1 volt weapon, increase all elemental damage. That's great. That's more elemental damage for all the elements I'm using. Right? Azure Moon Sword Dragon, it can increase damage by 6% for 30 seconds. That's great. And that's really why I like using Saki, because a lot of times when I use her skill, when it hits, it does a good amount of damage and I heal a good amount. So like I don't have to apply so much pressure onto anyone. Granted, yes, I can just use Lion's Whip. I can get this more overall damage and dodging around. But sometimes you're fighting bosses, even though you use that skill, you're not really dodging the attack. You can still get hit while moving around. But again, that's all up to whoever is playing the game, all right? Play how you want to play as long as it's working for you. I personally like using Saki when I have someone for Frost. If it's someone using Flame and Volt, yeah, if I'm with a Volt user or Flame user, I'm normally using Mimi, Lon, and I'm using Zero, especially if I'm in Origins of War. If I'm not in Origins of War, let's say I'm in VA, I'm just using all the Fortitude weapons. If I feel like I can hold aggro, I'll use Zero's weapon if there's no Flame. Like if it's Volt and Frost, I'm going to use Mimi and Saki. It just makes sense. Oh, let me explain why. Because players don't know this. I know the person who is stating why am I using that weapon is pointless. They don't know this, right? Applying your current weapon elemental weak point to the target. Team play, right? So again, as long as you just have, like if I have a Frost weapon out, you do more Frost damage. It's gonna make technically the enemy weak to that element, right? There's players using weak point, right? Heck, I myself use weak point, right? Where's my gear at? I have weak point damage boost. Because how Fortitude works, I'm always using weak point damage boost as long as I'm using a Fortitude weapon. This triggers 100% of the time. So anybody that's using like, an element, I need to pay attention to what element they're using, especially to have on weak point damage boost. Because that means if I use a Frost weapon, the enemy does not have to be weak to Frost. I hit them with Frost weapon, allies around me doing Frost damage, they do more damage because I'm making it weak to Frost. May not show it, but I can see the difference, right? When I switch off of the Frost weapon they're using Frost damage, they do less damage. So I try to use the weapon more and mix it in together. Again, I still know my main weapon has to be Mimi's weapon. I know that. But I still want to try to maximize damage for my Frost users so they feel good, they feel comfortable, they get damage out, but I can still hold the aggro. And I still have to live. If I take a hit, switch right back to Mimi's weapon, they're more than understanding. But yeah, that's the reason why. And the reason why I built up how I was, again, you don't see, I don't have matrices on right now, right? They're all off. So if you're wondering, oh, you don't have this, you don't have that, it's just because I was swapping weapons. See, if I switch here, you see the matrices are on now. If I switch back, the matrices won't be on for this weapon. Fine, no problem, But yeah, with these matrices on right now, I can actually, I use humor a lot for in-game content to make enemies, not do as much damage. And they bleed. That's what I'm doing. Again, someone's gonna say, oh, you don't need it. Look, that's how you play, that's fine. I've saved a bunch of players from dying because they ain't taking much damage. Right? So they have more reason not to worry about stacking, having resistance on their gear, not having health. They just look at damage. That's all they want to look at. You gotta respect your fortitudes. We're looking to help y'all out if we possibly can. But don't try to tell us things are useless. Please, I promise you. If we mainly play the role, we're probably knowing something that you don't know. It's okay to ask, but don't make the assumption. But as you see, with my matrices on, right? I have an alternate resistance of 15k where players are saying it's hard to get resistance. Which, don't get me wrong, I'm not going to say it's easy. Right? For my 42 peoples, you want to mostly have a resistance and attack. I know someone's going to say, no, you need health. Why did you get health? They only need 3k HP for the augmented stat. That's where we want our health, okay? If someone is telling you need health here, please inform them of this and show them this. Okay? Like my gloves, they had health here. I can't get health here now. There's only gonna be resistances. Even though there was some sexy resistances, I'd rather have HP in there. Not saying HP is more important than resistance, but I'm already stacking, like, for example, well, this piece has some resist, but I went for attack, so it's gonna give me the resistances here, which had health. But if I can get a piece of gear that's stacked, over 1,000 in resistance, that's good. And I still get health, and then another resist? Yeah, I'd rather that. Now, while I'm not trying to go off of resistances, look, I need some damage. I need to feel good about myself while fighting. And the fact that I need to be able to hold aggro. Yeah, I can talk about whole me stat, okay, great. But having a little bit of damage don't hurt. And plus, again, when you look for attack, the attack stats, over 1,000 attack, you still get resistances. So there's no reason to tell someone, hey, don't get attack as Fortitude. Now, don't go for elemental attack, because, you go for elemental attack, you may not get something you want. Like right here, I got HP percent. I got 3 rolls in the HP. I wish it was 4 to 5, but we're not all lucky. I got 3, gave me HP here, nearly 70K. Great. Got some physical resist. Do I want more health? I love it. Love more health. But that's just the gist. So if anyone's asking, like, why am I using Saki's weapon? That's the reason. It's not useless. If you're really thinking it's useless and you mainly play Fortitude, I don't think you're maximizing everything in Fortitude. But I'm not here to diss and pick like a diss video or anything like that. I still think Lan's weapon is phenomenal. I think Saki's weapon, like the A1 just isn't enough for Saki in my opinion. Like for Lan, I think at an A0, Lan's weapon is better. At A1, I still think Lan's weapon is better. Until Saki really gets to like A3, I feel like Saki's weapon is more for like a damage aspect beforehand. But once you're at A3, yes, you get damage, but a lot of aggros right there. Silly. And then your survivability comes from, what is it, the A4? I think it's the A4. Maybe the A2. But I'm pretty sure it's the A4. Yeah, the A4 gives 32% more health, and this gives 16%. I think Lan just gives it gives attack here. So yeah, I actually would rather Saki, because the bigger bonus is in the health. I want health. Right? Mimi's is just attack. Right? Attack, and I know people want to say, oh, you just need attack, you don't have to worry about those stats. I just feel like they're important. 32% more HP, and I can get 1.7 and still have resistances, and my attack is still over 20K? I don't know, y'all tell me. I know attackers that can't even, who's just getting to 30K health, 30K HP. 30K attack. But their HP is like around, a little higher than 1 million, maybe like 1.1 million. Their altered attack is low. My crit's higher than their crit. And their resistances are normally lower than my resistances. Well, I feel like I'm getting a well-built character in my opinion. If you think this is wrong, hey, tell me what you get and tell me how your stats are looking for Fortitude. Again, if you're looking for altered resist, is this eyepiece, right? Try to get as much altered resist percent as you can. And for your other pieces of gear, just try to get resistance. Resistance goes into altered resist. Hey, hopefully I told y'all something about Fortitude. Y'all let me know in the comment section. Thank you for watching the video, like and subscribing, because you can put that subscribe button that's right over here. And don't forget, you can watch the videos over here. I want to see you in there too, all right? You enjoy yourself.